This is Algebra Lesson 11.4, from general form to vertex form. So what we're going to do in this lesson is take our equations that are in general form, that ax squared plus bx plus c form, that trinomial form, and we're going to switch them into vertex form. So I'll write these out, but the general form, we wrote this on the first page of the packet. That's what general form looks like. That's our trinomial, our three separate terms. And we're going to transfer that into vertex form, which is our squared binomial form. Don't worry about the vocab, but we're going to make them start looking like that and turn them into looking like that. So we're going to use the same box. I like this tool. We're going to apply it in a different way. We're going to take the first two terms of our trinomial and put them in the box. Now, what we know about vertex form is we need two groups of the same thing. So I'm going to take this 4x and I'm going to split it into two equal things. So I see 4 and I know to split that into 2 and 2. You can take whatever value you have and divide it by 2, because we're going to split it into two equal pieces, and that's what we put in those spaces. Now we're going to continue along and fill out our box like we've been working with it. We know x times x will give us x squared. We know 2 times x will give us 2x. 2 times x will give us 2x. And for this final box down here, we have 2 times 2 gives us 4. So I'm going to write this x plus 2 because I have a group of x plus 2 right here. And I have another group of x plus 2 right here. So I'm going to square that. I have two groups of x plus 2. Now this 4 that I kind of pulled out of nowhere is going to get equal to that binomial that I just wrote. And that's it. So we'll try that again. We're going to put the two terms we have in the box. We're going to split that -6 into two equal pieces. -6 over 2 is -3. So -3 and -3 give me -6. X times x is x squared. -3 times x is -3x. -3 times x is -3x. And -3 times -3 give me a positive 9. We'll put that in my format where I have two groups of x minus 3, and those are equal to that 9. This is the same thing. I do have an odd number, which I can't split into whole numbers, but I can use a decimal. If I split -5 into two equal pieces, that is -2.5 and -2.5. So I have two groups of x minus 2.5, and -2.5 times -2.5 is 6.25. So the whole point of this is when I have an equation that starts in general form, I don't have the tools to just solve that algebraically. I need to change that into a format that I can work with. So we're going to try now applying that by taking these equations in general form, switching them into vertex form, and then solving them. It's a lot of work, but let's give it a go. That wasn't supposed to happen. Okay. I'm going to put the first two terms in the box. I am not putting that third term in the box. When we did factored form the lesson before, we put all three terms of the trinomial in the box, but for this vertex form, we just want the first two. We're going to split the 6 into our two equal pieces, and I have two groups of x plus 3. Okay, that -1 that I haven't used at all is still there. I only replaced the x squared plus 6 with the x plus 3 squared. The -1 is still there, and then 3 times 3 is 9, and up above we place that 9 after the equal sign. I already have something there. I need to add the 9 to the 0. Easily enough, it's still 9. So this is now something in vertex form that I can solve. We have the tools to do this. I'm going to drop the line and do our usual steps. We'll get rid of that k term. We'll root both sides of the equation. When we root, remember we get a positive and a negative. We should round that right, huh? That's better. And then we subtract from both sides, and when we do that, we subtract from all the pieces. So we have a 0.16 and we have a negative 6.16 for our two answers. We'll do one more. We put the first two terms in the box for vertex form. We split our middle term equally, which gives us two groups of x plus 4. The minus 5 is still where it was. 4 by 4 is 16, so we're going to add the 16 to the back, and then we can solve. Add 5 to both sides. Root both sides. After we root, we get both the positive and the negative version of the answer. Subtract 4 from both sides. And those are our two finished answers. That's a lot of stuff. Hopefully, because we've been working with this box, we've been doing these solutions, we did these on lesson 1, that this should be pretty manageable. I did not provide boxes on the assignment. My thinking was that it's the pretty standard form that you do every single time, so you don't really need a box. What we see here is that this number is always half of your B term, and that this number is always half of your B number squared. If you can follow that format, you don't really need the box, but if you would like the box, I will place a link to blank copies that you can print off. You can also just obviously draw them yourself on notebook paper and then staple that to your assignment. One other thing that I need to point out, because it's always confusing, is the first two equations that you need to solve are already in vertex form. You can go ahead and solve those right like they are. The next four equations are not in vertex form. These ones need to be converted before you can solve them. So again, I halved that and then squared it. If you need a box, print some off, draw some. This should be hopefully doable. Good luck on the exercises, and please let me know if you have any questions.